President Biden with a stark warning for Americans who choose not to get the COVID-19 vaccine. He says, quote, they will end up paying the price, even as the CDC continues to face backlash over shifting guidelines for all Americans. And despite the good news, and I want to say it again, good news, they didn't lead with this. COVID-19 cases are now down in all 50 states. The president cautions that those numbers could tick up again. And he's already blaming states where Americans may choose not to get vaccinated. Watch.
If the unvaccinated get vaccinated, they will protect themselves and other unvaccinated people around them. If they do not, states with low vaccination rates may see those rates go up, may see this progress reversed. Ultimately, those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
Meanwhile, the confusion over mask wearing is raging as states and cities and businesses are left to sort it all out through that maze of CDC guidelines. Joe Concha, a Fox News contributor and media and politics columnist for The Hill, joins me now. So it seems like a missed opportunity. Boy, they don't know how to market this. So you've got people across the country by the millions fully vaccinated now. You don't lead with the good news that the cases are down in 50 states? That makes no sense.
Oh, and I've got some good news to share here, Harris. But first, when the president says paying the price, if everybody doesn't get vaccinated, let's look at what's going on in Texas, because it really is remarkable, and it's a good news story. Down there, 33% of the state is fully vaccinated, just 33%. Yet on Sunday, the state had 0.0 coronavirus deaths. And if you recall, March 10th is when that Governor Abbott, Republican, lifted those mask mandates, as they did in Mississippi. The President of the United States said that that was Neanderthal thinking, said it was very dangerous. Dr. Fauci also echoed those statements, as did the CDC. In Mississippi on Sunday, there were 0 COVID deaths. So we should be making note of that there is tremendous progress being made. You say cases are down. We're talking in that state 85–90% in terms of hospitalizations and cases. It really is something that, you're right, should be a lead story.
Well, and look, you mentioned it, and we can just pull it up so that everybody can remember for themselves President Biden and what he said back in March.
Okay.
I think it's a big mistake. Look, I hope everybody's realized by now, these masks make a difference. And the last thing we need is the Neanderthal thinking that in the meantime, everything's fine, take off your mask, forget it.
Well, and Joe, what you were saying was that Texas reported 0 deaths from COVID for the first time on Sunday, and that those cases and hospitalizations are down at all-time lows during the pandemic. Governor Abbott reacted to that a short time ago.
I still have not yet received a phone call or an apology from the president for his mischaracterization of my actions. All the liberals and all the media in the state of Texas issued the same declaration. Some people said that I had issued a death warrant. And here's the difference. The people on the Democrat side, they want to push narratives, whereas what I was looking at was both math and science.
First of all, your reaction to that, and I have a quick follow.
Well, apologies are not in the DNA of most politicians, particularly this president, so don't hold your breath waiting for that particular call. But remember what Texas is, the second largest state in terms of population in the country, 30 million people, 4 million more than Australia. And the last thing we need from the president is for him to be leaving church on Sunday outside with a mask while he's fully vaccinated, or on a Zoom call with world leaders fully vaccinated, wearing a mask. So yeah, talk about wrong messaging. It comes from the President of the United States and the CDC director as well, who has been all over the place on this in terms of mask mandates and exactly what you can and cannot do, Harris.
So let's just go for just a quick second to where some of this conversation started against vaccinations, because you know our vice president likes to get to the root causes of things. And I remember when Kamala Harris was saying that if it came from Trump's administration, if it came from Trump, she wouldn't be vaccinated. And of course, that got a whole lot of people talking about, well, I guess it's politicized now. What is the irony that when you look at states like New Jersey and others, 70% vaccinated, that yes, all across the country now, people are making their decisions about what to do. And many of them are getting vaccinated. Many of them, we don't know who they voted for, but maybe she comes out and gives an apology. I mean, since people are asking for them.
And I couldn't believe at the time, Harris, that not one journalist, not anybody questioning Kamala Harris when she actually was available,
I did,
pushed back on that.
But we couldn't get
Of course you
access
did.
to her. So, I mean, I was
That's
like
what I mean.
shouting into the wind.
Yeah, I mean, people actually speaking to her directly when she made that statement at a vice presidential debate, for example. How do you not say, well, what do you mean Trump's vaccine? This is Pfizer's vaccine. This is Moderna's vaccine. J&J, you're insulting the good
America's
people at those companies
vaccine.
that are working their butt off to put those things out. Exactly. So no pushback and no apologies coming from Kamala Harris either. She barely speaks anyway. So what do we expect?
Lots of smiling and giggling. The critics are calling it blood money. Joe, new development now. Governor Andrew Cuomo's newly released tax returns show he could make more than $5 million off his COVID leadership book. That's the same one he wrote as thousands of people died in nursing homes during the pandemic that he was leading here in New York. The feds are investigating claims his office covered up those nursing home deaths. Republican candidate for governor Lee Zeldin let it rip.
The nursing home order and cover-up, you're talking about the loss of life. You're profiting off of, really, I mean, this is blood money, profiting off of the suffering physically, emotionally, financially of your constituents, of New Yorkers.
All right, I'm going to go one more here with you, Joe, and a warning to people that it gets graphic. Cuomo accuser Karen Hinton writes in an op-ed, this is a quote, "I spoke openly about my own experience with Cuomo in the Washington Post recently, but I also witnessed his misconduct with other women at HUD. I call this, quote unquote, penis politics, a form of political art that's not just about sexual abuse, but is always about gender discrimination. Cuomo is a master of the dark art." End of her quote. Joe Concha.
Governor Cuomo, if he had shame, and that's not in the DNA either, should step down here. I mean, to profit off of a pandemic. People wondered, why is he putting out a book in October when the pandemic is still raging, when he had by far the worst record of any governor? And I said back on March 5th, when reports started to emerge about what exactly the book advanced looked like, at the time it was only $800,000 only. Now, relatively, $5.1 million. So always follow the money in these situations. That's the great motivator here. And the fact that the governor profited off of this, it's just shameful. But again, I don't think he's not going anywhere. He's declared that he's not. But what's going on with these investigations now on the federal level and the New York Attorney General and Tish James? She's a Democrat. It's kind of stalled. I'd like to get an update on that if possible, because clearly a lot of wrongdoing here. When there's smoke, there's fire, and this is a wildfire at this point, Harris.
And some of that money may go right back out of his coffers and into the hands of whomever he has to pay to defend him when those investigations are rolling along. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle facing some new controversy now after they signed a deal with Procter & Gamble to build, quote unquote, more compassionate communities. That has critics saying the company promotes a form of bias called colorism by selling skin lightening creams in Africa and Asia. This comes after the Sussexes, as they call the couple, accused Britain's royal family of racism. Joe.
I really just want to take a break from the royal couple, if possible, but I'm on TV to talk about these folks, so I guess I have to continue. I mean, this is John Lennon, Yoko Ono 2.0. I mean, if these two go bowling with J-Lo and Ben Affleck, I'm taking the family moving to New Zealand. I don't think I could handle the paparazzi pictures from that. But look, for Prince Harry to start talking about, and for instance, he railed against the First Amendment recently. He's in lockstep with the British government. They actually have a communications agency called Ofcom, and they actually investigated Piers Morgan because Piers Morgan had a negative commentary on the royal couple after their interview with Oprah Winfrey. So, yeah, I'm royal coupled out, I got to be honest with you. And it's ironic that they're speaking out against free speech when they are by far the most outspoken royal couple we have seen in history.
Joe Concha, thank you very much. Good to see you.